Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
And what are you doing in my swamp?
Existing.
Anyway, welcome to From the Closet. Today we are covering Shrek. Um, if There will be a link below for you to purchase or rent this movie. Apparently, it is also currently free on Prime Video. But this is not our
Yes.
free movie of the month. That was Oh wait, we don't know yet.
Deadpool 2.
No, we don't
I
know
mean, at
yet.
least for this. Oh, wait. Yeah. For this month when we were recording it, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, is this coming out in. Wait, is this coming out in August or September?
this is coming out on August 16th.
Okay.
All right. So, um, I'm going to spin the wheel to determine what movie we will be covering on August 22nd. And it took a long time to spin, but it finally landed on How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
Yes! Yes, let's go! Let's go!
Amazing that we finished that trilogy before Back to the Future.
That actually is a little bit sad.
Yeah, we're gonna finish Back to the Future eventually, but yeah. Um, so join us
Though,
next.
isn't it wild that we're having two DreamWorks movies back to back?
Yeah, and funny thing. Speaking of Back to the Future, Shrek is a collaboration between DreamWorks and Universal,
Hmm.
who were behind Back to the Future.
Wow, all these connections.
But yeah, so definitely join us next week for How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World and Star vs. the Forces of Evil Season 1, which we have already recorded.
That is true.
But yeah, so this podcast will contain spoilers for Shrek. Um, Although, if
But
you
like you
haven't
haven't
seen that
seen Shrek,
movie,
like yikes.
yeah, yikes. Certainly.
I think I've got a bit more fondness for the movie, but I definitely know I've seen it before. It's not like when I saw it before, I was like, this is a terrible movie, but I definitely was like, so why is everyone holding it in high praise? It was a good movie, but like, not the Messiah.
Yeah, but going forward, this podcast will contain spoilers for Shrek. You have been warned. Spoilers in three, two, one. Donkey fucks
Everyone
the
dies.
dragon.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, uh, I love how. Okay, as a kid, I found this movie to be a lot funnier. But I don't think it's
Mm.
nearly as funny now as an adult.
I don't know, for some reason I had the opposite effect. Or at least I think when I first saw it, and seeing all the memes of where everyone's loving it, it's just degraded over time. I just needed to see it again.
Yeah, I think like even though this movie's comedy didn't hold up for me, the movie has other things that lead me to love it. That like aren't its comedy. For one, it's got a pretty good soundtrack. I think all the songs are pretty great. Yes, even All Star. I know Lily hates it because she was forced to play it in band, and that is really not a song you should have to play in a high school band.
And it's for pet bands. I had to play it for freaking soccer event. Not soccer. There's no pet band in soccer. No football. So not only that, you know, you're forced to be playing it, no one cares about you. They're too focused on the sport.
Yeah. I just think the song doesn't have enough parts for a school band. Like, you should have done something else, really.
I mean, we had many other songs like Dynamite, That was a good song.
But
Anyway,
but yeah, so there's that. I also want to tackle Shrek a bit psychologically. Um,
hmm,
I would love to see Cinema Therapy tackle this movie because
they
they
haven't already?
nope, they have not,
Huh.
which I find a little interesting. But yeah,
You're
there's
early.
I mean we were early to
Kinda.
Turning Red too, and My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh, I forgot they did that. Did they? Yeah.
Yeah,
After, of course, but
but yeah, so let's see. The thing that I wanted to talk about with Shrek, like psychologically, is like the effects of like hatred and discrimination on a person's mind, and like how eventually, after enough of it, you can start to internalize that hatred. Um,
hmm.
it works very well as a metaphor for like people who have like internalized homophobia or transphobia or misogyny or misandry, or internalized like racism against their own race.
Hmm.
And it can be very destructive at like as we see with Shrek himself,
Hmm.
because he is quite self-destructive throughout the movie. um
He pushes away the people that would want to help him.
yeah, and then like at the same time too, like I understand Shrek's desire to just be left alone. um and yeah, Donkey is annoying.
Actually, I love one of the parts in the movie where Fiona was the donkey can talk, and she was like, the real trick is getting him to shut up.
Yeah, that was one of the few jokes that actually landed for me. But yeah, so there's that, and then like also another thing that I love about this movie is how perfectly it it's probably one of the best fairy tale parodies ever put to film.
I can't exactly say see many fairy tale parodies, so I can't exactly challenge that.
Yeah. And like another thing too, okay, so we got to tackle the elephant in the room, and that's that DreamWorks, the studio, was created as a giant fuck you to Disney. And this film really does feel like a giant fuck you to Disney.
Oh yeah,
Because they use a lot of characters that have appeared in Disney works, but are technically public domain characters. And because they didn't take anything about those characters that was like created by Disney, Disney couldn't do shit. And I'm talking characters like
Pinocchio.
Robin Hood, Pinocchio, Cinderella, Snow White. Like Disney couldn't do shit to them because these characters exist in the public domain, and they didn't use anything that like Disneyified those characters.
Yeah, they didn't use the Disney likeness, and really they barely appeared on screen already, unless there's a talking donkey Disney movie that I need to be watching.
uh, but yeah, I think that was pretty well done. And like, on the whole thing of it like being a parody of fairy tales, like there are things like, you know, when Fiona starts like singing and the birds start like mimicking her, and then she eventually like gets this really really high note and the bird explodes.
Oh, when it comes to singing in Disney, I just remember Frozen 2, where like Elsa is just singing in the like every early morning, and probably everyone is still asleep. I just imagine like the people's like, "Shut up!"
I still haven't seen Frozen 2.
It was early in the movie.
But yeah, I don't know, like that's just the kind of thing you would never see in a fairy tale movie, in a traditional one anyhow. And then like you also wouldn't see the circumvention of the like of the knight in shining armor trope the way that they do this in Shrek. So
And there's an entire thing about that. They explore it a lot more in Shrek 2.
yeah, which we will cover. But like I don't know if this will change through the course of like us covering the Shrek movies on the podcast, but I've always thought the
Hmm.
first movie was better than the second, and I know that's not the mainstream opinion.
Do you know when the Shrek movies started to become bad? I'm pretty sure it's Shrek the Third,
Yeah, it was Shrek
but
the
I'm
third,
yeah,
and we
which
are.
that is available on HBO Max.
I didn't know
But
that, but we are going to
yeah, when
cover
I was
all.
doing research, it
Yeah, we are going to cover all four Shrek movies, and we're probably not going to cover Puss in Boots, because
makes sense.
that's a spinoff, and I also don't really want to cover it, and I also don't know how we would cover it, even if I did want to cover it.
I feel like it was on Netflix for a time.
Maybe it was, but oh well. I
Puss in
also
Boots.
another thing
Oh
like I
wow,
I also really loved the scene where Fiona like just reveals that she's a badass and starts beating up all of Robin Hood's lackeys.
that is nice.
Like wow. Like number 1, clear badass. Number 2, how the fuck are you getting that much flexibility in that dress? Seriously, I want to know because I want that dress.
Was actually she's locked in a tower for goddamn years. What did you just have like changing wardrobe? How's he washing her clothes? What?
Who
How?
knows?
Where's the food coming from?
There are some other things in this movie that annoy me. Obviously, fart jokes are just the lowest form of
Oh
comedy.
yeah,
I don't enjoy them at all. But then also you have like your stereotypical trope of person hears love interest say something out of context, and that leads to conflict. Like it's so
yeah.
played out.
That's
It's like that whole thing is so played out, and even when this movie came out, that was played out. And reminder, this movie came out in 2001.
mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just like I'm tired of seeing that where you know it this misunderstanding because I overheard something that I shouldn't have.
Yeah. Why has this just turned into a trope that every love movie just needs to use?
Not all of them. A good chunk of them don't. And it's just really annoying that it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Another thing I do want to bring up because I actually decided to look this up after the movie.
Hmm.
So, like, close to the end of the movie, like, Donkey's trying to tell Shrek that he can't just go in and scream, I object. He has to actually wait for, like, the priest guy to say, speak now or forever hold your peace. I actually looked up what would really happen, and like what's the purpose of that whole thing, and it. The whole purpose is like a key part of the question is like it if anyone has information as to why these two people cannot lawfully be married. Um, and it's more of a formality because like it comes from a time when we didn't keep nearly as extensive records on people as we do now, but it was to prevent things like you know, coercion, for one, coercion, fraud. Also, if like one of the people was already married, um, and then like if the two people were related but didn't know about it.
So obviously, this was just it was needed in what medieval times, and then over time, it was just never removed.
Yeah, it was just never removed, and it's basically a formality at this point. If somebody shows up to
Hmm.
a wedding and like objects because they think that like they want to profess their like undying love to one of the two people, uh, likely as not they would just be completely ignored.
And probably kicked out.
Yeah, probably.
Now, the only time that would even matter would probably be like, I object, that man's a criminal, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's also like, if one of the people is underage, but then
Mm-hmm.
again, if the parents aren't the ones objecting, that's likely to be ignored as long as like it follows the law in whatever country they're getting married in.
Yeah.
Because like, there are some countries where it's legal to get married under the age of 18 with parental consent.
Mm,
I don't believe America is one of those, but
I don't believe so either.
actually I think that may be legal like starting at age 16, but I'm not 100% certain of that.
Hmm. Maybe it could also be something where the states can decide.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Anyway,
Shrek.
this is actually a little bit weird of a conversation.
It is a bit of a weird conversation. Anyway, Shrek. So yeah, Fiona has like this weird curse where like she keeps switching back and forth between a human and an ogre. Um, you know, once once it changes from night to day and day to night. Which there's a lot of this. There's a lot of stories that do that thing where somebody changes from one thing to another. Night to day, day to night. I think there was even like an anime where there was this person who was a guy during the day and a girl at night.
Huh.
Which, like,
Okay then.
of course there is. It's anime.
Yeah.
It's just quite funny. And then, like, of course, her whole thing is like, she's been cursed to be this way ever since she was really young, and only true love's kiss can break her out of it, and she'll take love's true form. Which, that has multiple interpretations. You could interpret it as like, oh, Shrek is her love, so she takes Shrek's form, or love's true form itself, like the true form of love, is an ogre. Like, big and disgusting.
I mean, love is blind.
Yeah, and it can also be very gross at times. It can be very scary at times, and
Sometimes it can be an ogre.
yes, sometimes it can be ogre.
Sorry, just a sentence.
Yep. Also, just as another like side thing, I saw a mod for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild that replaced Hinox's with Shrek.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's just
Wait,
so.
what was replaced with Thomas the Tank Engine again?
That was the giant horse.
Uh,
Yeah, I just thought
what
it.
a great and balanced mod.
Yes. Although that was actually two separate mods, but you can put them
God
together
damn it.
into one game. Um, but yeah, I think this movie is pretty great. The second one's pretty good too. And then it all fell apart with Shrek the Third, and that typically happens with DreamWorks movies or series. You know, they make a really good movie, they make a really good sequel, and then they make a shitty trequel, I guess, is what you would call it.
I
But
wouldn't say that happened with How to Train Your Dragon. It was really good first, really good second, mixed opinions on the third one. I still think it's good, but I can understand why people would say it's the weakest.
I think
And
most people
that's
like
when all people, and that's when everything went to shit.
I think most people agree that How to Train Your Dragon is the exception, but then you have
Yeah.
you have cases like the Shrek series. I want to say this happened with Kung Fu Panda as well.
Yeah, though I have to see the second one to see if that was good either.
Yeah, and there's talks too about like cinema. Like there are people constantly requesting cinema therapy to do a video on Kung Fu Panda.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I
Yeah.
kind of hope that happens. But I
No.
personally, I'd really
Um.
love them to cover Shrek in the angle of like, you know, internalized discrimination and like self-destructiveness because of it.
Um. As I mentioned, How to Train Your Dragon, despite having the three pretty good movies, yeah, it's gone now. Oh god, that TV series. They made two of them, and they're still trying to milk the series. It's bad, man.
Yeah. And then like
They'll
this.
only cover the first TV show, Race to the Edge, which encompasses the two series released on Cartoon Network and the continuation on Netflix, and nothing else. That's the only TV show of How to Train Your Dragon that we're covering.
But yeah, regarding Shrek though, thankfully it didn't get a spin-off TV series, as far as I know, but it got some terrible games.
Oh, really? I actually want to talk about that because it's Shrek related.
Yeah. So go ahead, like
Have you
it.
played them?
I have not, but I have heard some terrible things, and I have played like there's this racing game, and I have played some of the tracks in Mario Kart Wii, and like obviously the tracks are made for a different game, but they suck in Mario Kart Wii at
Wow.
least. And I've heard the game was terrible too, so I mean that
Wasn't
says a lot.
wasn't Shrek also on like the Game Boy? Like just the movie was released on the Game Boy.
Maybe. Which side note? Okay, so the fact that they released like movies on the Game Boy, like that's fine and all, but you then can't take those Game Boy cartridges and play them on the Game Boy player, the add-on for the GameCube, which is like why? Apparently it was
Huh.
piracy concerns, but like I don't know, dude. Like making it so I can't watch a movie on my TV using a cartridge for the Game Boy.
No, but I found Shrek 2 on the Game Boy Advance Video player.
Interesting.
Was that Shrek 1 and 2? Oh my god. I want to look at the image.
I mean, this isn't something that people will be able to see here.
I know, but
Li-
like you can look it up later.
but yeah, I think this movie is probably overhyped a bit.
I would say so.
Yeah,
It's
like
definitely not Messiah God, but it's definitely not anything to scoff at.
yeah, it's a pretty good movie. And I believe it was pitched to Disney and they turned it down, which is what led to DreamWorks and stuff.
Yeah, and now that actually makes sense on why DreamWorks were so salty at Disney.
Yeah, I think this was actually DreamWorks' first movie, is like, if I'm not mistaken.
I want to say you're right, but couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah. Um, and then you have also things too, like, okay, something I noticed at the beginning, someone who worked on this movie was named Mike Myers. And I'm like, wow, I would hate to have that name because
Dream?
like you'd
Sorry.
constantly get people joking about, the Michael Myers movies. So,
DreamWorks?
having that name, it could either be something you really love or you really hate.
DreamWorks animation first movie was Ants. It's Ant with the Z.
Oh God, yeah, they're ripoff of A Bug's Life.
Released 2 months before A Bug's Life.
Either way, it's still discount A Bug's Life because A Bug's Life was better. But I mean, what do you
Yeah.
expect? It's Pixar versus DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Like most of the time, when you pit Pixar against DreamWorks, Pixar's gonna win. Most of the time.
When you pick Pixar against a lot of things, that could seem like similar related movies, Pixar usually wants that win.
It's kind of hard to say if, like, if you pit Pixar against Studio Ghibli, that one might be difficult.
Mm, I'm just talking about like movies are similar, like what Finding Nemo and what's it called, Shark Bait or whatever.
I mean, if you're talking about
No,
Shark Tale,
that's
I don't find that movie similar at all.
yeah, I think yeah, Shark Tale.
Yeah, I think that one's not similar at all. And we will certainly get to Finding Nemo eventually, because there's a lot to say about that movie. And a certain actress who pretended to be a nice person. Um,
Hmm,
oh
that's an
boy.
interesting thing that you just said there.
Yeah, and I'll probably have to send you a video talking about her, like when we go to cover that movie.
Hmm. You can at least tell me what actress it was, like who they played.
Dory.
Really?
Yeah.
And I imagine it wasn't recast. Yeah, no, it wasn't recasted
No,
for Finding Dory.
no, she was not recast.
Was the controversy before or after Finding Dory?
I think most of the controversy was after Finding Dory.
Okay, so there probably wouldn't even been a reason to
There probably was some
recast at the time.
If I remember correctly, there was some controversy before then, but I think most of it started coming out in like 2018 and then a lot more in 2020.
Hmm. So yeah, it started building up.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously this is not the place for that, but after we're done recording, I would like to know more.
Yeah, like I could send you a video that just goes into everything, like everything she did and all the allegations against her.
And we will be talking about this in Finding Nemo and Dory, probably.
Yeah,
Only cover it.
yeah. When we cover those movies, which who knows when that will be.
I was about to say God knows, but like, wait, I'm not religious.
I mean, I wouldn't consider myself religious, but I do believe in God, and I would say He knows when we're gonna cover it. So. But yeah, I think unless you have something else you want to say, I'm going to dive into the critic ratings.
Shrek is green.
Very astute observation there.
Well, actually, there's something else I wanted to mention because there's a lot more films of Shrek than just the three
well, there's
and four.
four.
But there's also like countless other spin-off movies like Shrek Christmas. Or actually, let's look at all Shrek movies.
Okay, we're only covering the four main
That's
movies that, like, actually count
okay.
as
So
part
I
of the Shrek series.
I may have accidentally uh, Googled shark movies instead of Shrek movies.
Wow, epic fail.
So yeah, we have like the main, the fourth movie being Shrek Forever After,
Yeah.
and then oh my, eight short films, three television and interactive specials, one television. Wait, this is just Puss in Boots.
God, I fucking hate my headphone cord. Your audio bled in again.
Oh, and future films. Are they actually thinking about releasing a fifth Shrek film?
God, I hope not, but I mean, we've seen a new Matrix movie, we've seen a new Ghostbusters, which actually was pretty good. Um,
Wait, how's the Matrix movie? I haven't heard.
I haven't seen it.
Hmm.
Hey,
I
tell
have
you
to
the
go
truth,
to a
I haven't
reliable
I haven't
source.
even seen Matrix 1. Like I saw about half of it and then I stopped watching.
Yeah, isn't the Matrix on the wheel, right?
Yeah, the Matrix is on the wheel.
Yeah.
So we are eventually going to cover it and you know, I think I'm kind of looking forward to it because I've heard a
Hmm.
lot of trans women say that this is like, you know, the equivalent to the trans men's Mulan. Because there
Re-
it
um. Hmm. Sorry.
yes, because like you have the well, for starters, the fact that Matrix was directed by two trans women is kind of a thing on its own. But yeah,
I just. Hmm.
we will discuss that when we cover the Matrix.
Yeah.
For now, let's.
Um. Shrek was actually nominated. Not just nominated, won the Animated Feature Award and was nominated for the adapted screenplay. Shrek 2 was nominated for Animated Feature Original Song, and fucking Puss in Boots was nominated for an animated feature.
Maybe there just wasn't enough movies that year.
What year was it?
I don't know. I don't care.
2013.
But anyway,
Or, sorry, 2012.
yeah. So anyway, let's talk about the critic reception. All right. IMDb gives this
Hmm.
movie a 7.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 88%. Metacritic has 84%, and 87% of Google users like the movie. So,
Okay. I like the movie, but I don't think it deserves as much as the hype as everyone says it does. So I'm gonna go 8.3.
yeah, I'm giving this movie a 7.9,
Hmm.
which is, the same score that IMDb gave it. I think it's a pretty good movie, but unfortunately, a lot of the jokes just do not land for me anymore as an adult. But this movie has
Yeah, and I
other
would
it has other strengths. So
I would also rather watch How to Train Your Dragon, all three movies,
hell, I'd honestly
back to
also
back.
rather watch Kung Fu Panda.
Wow.
But yeah, it's certainly at least in the top half of DreamWorks movies.
Yeah, DreamWorks is a real hit and miss. Sometimes they hit it out of the park, and sometimes they don't
Yeah, I mean,
at all.
like it's in the top half because like some of the stuff it's competing against is like Flushed Away and Turbo,
Forgotten and no one loves.
Turbo
I actually own Turbo.
and
I
Home
actually
and Sinbad.
seeing Home. We actually covered Sinbad.
Yeah, we did. That was our free movie of
Wasn't
the month. I think for March.
I mean I've seen worse movies.
Yeah, I have too. It's just I think the big problem for me is it has the same basic plot structure as the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and I think that was a better movie.
It definitely was a better movie, I'll tell you that. And I'm glad wait. So we're covering that movie, and I hope we're not covering any other SpongeBob SquarePants movies.
I mean, there's only three of them. Okay, I should clarify. There's only
Well,
three of them that released in theaters.
yeah.
So I'm not opposed to covering all three, but I also really only just want to cover the first one.
hmm
But yeah,
I only want to cover the first one, and the third one, I believe that was after Steven Hillenburg died. I could be wrong.
yeah, I don't know. But there is a video that discusses like all three of the movies, and like from what I've
Mhm.
heard, the second one's actually okay. But yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, join us next week where we will be covering Shadow. Shadow.
Shadow the
See.
Hedgehog?
No, see, for some reason, my brain went to Fire Emblem, and I was about to say Shadow Dragon.
Why is my head going to freaking Sonic?
Yeah, I don't know. Join us next week where we will be covering How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World and
Fuck
Star
yeah.
versus the Forces of Evil Season 1. So until next time, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make.